Hello everyone and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, the Superman fan site for Superman Fan Show, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com and sponsored by, we have sponsors, yes, sponsored by Javori Website Design and Graphic Design Services and the Fortress of Baileytude Podcasting Network. My name is Steve Eunice and this is our November 22nd, 2021 show. And tonight we're going to be covering a range of topics, including news and information about the upcoming DC League of Super Pets animated movie. We're going to be talking about Henry Cavill breaking down his role as Superman. We've got TV news, comic book news, and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to ask for your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Doing well, and yourself?
Oh, just getting ready for the big holiday here in the States. Thanksgiving's this week. So we've got Justin, who's an Aussie, if I'm correct, wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So that's very magnanimous of him. So
yes, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone for this weekend, and keep your money tight and close to your chest. Don't go all splurging on the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales this weekend, but buy what you need to buy.
More importantly, treat the people that are helping you with respect and don't go all crazy on them, please.
Indeed. So how do people get involved with tonight's show, Michael?
Oh, well, yeah, nobody wants to hear me banging on about how they should be nice to people at stores. They want to talk about Superman because Superman Homepage Live is all about Superman, and we want to hear from the people watching us live right now on YouTube. So how do you do that to get involved with the show? Well, sometimes we take callers, and that involves getting Skype. You need to get on Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and send us a message saying you'd like to chat on the show with us tonight. Now, a couple of things. One, wait for us to call you. Message us, but don't just call in, because that can screw things up. Also, if you're using an external speaker, when you're watching Superman Homepage Live, please mute that if we get you on the phone, because we are on a bit of a delay and that can screw things up.
Yes, and for those who are tuning in live via YouTube tonight, we invite you to participate in the comments there. There's already people there, Justin, Mark, Michael, John, Mark, another Michael, everyone involved in the chat already watching us live. So get involved there, chat with fellow fans, ask questions and comments. Michael and I will react to those as the show goes on, so feel free to participate there. Also, if you'd like your comment or question featured on the screen during the show, that's called a super chat. All you have to do is click the little dollar symbol right there on YouTube. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and we will feature your comment or question on the screen as we go to air. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And if you want to support the show and the website, simply head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, or you can click the join button right there on YouTube. There are different levels of perks for different size memberships. All right, well, as I said, we've got a few things to talk about tonight. As you can see, the background behind me has got Superman and Krypto flying through the sky together. We'll talk about who is voicing Superman in a second. But we've got a number of details thanks to an interview with EW.com with screenwriter and director Jared Stern, giving up some details about the animated movie, which will be out in May 2022, so about 6 months away. We'll be introduced to the DC League of Super Pets. He says, I want it to be a real threat that you felt lived up to not just a goofy movie, but a real serious superhero threat, but also one that uniquely can only be solved by a group of pets. I really wanted people to come away with from this movie feeling like animation is a technique and not a genre. Wanted them to feel like that was a really great superhero movie and it had everything I love in a superhero movie. It had great action. It was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I love the images that are coming out from it. It looks really slick, especially like Krypto's collar. That's a cool way to do it.
Yeah, it's a really impressive animation style. The graphics are really cool. It looks like it's up there with some of the best animated movies we've seen in recent times. And you've got their Ace and Crypto together. Ace is voiced by Kevin Hart, and Crypto, as we know, is voiced by Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And we've also got some other characters that'll be introduced, including Natasha Lyonne as Merton the Turtle on the left there, Vanessa Bayer as PB the Pig, and Diego Luna as Chip the Squirrel. So a cast of superhero pets that will be introduced. It's a buddy movie about Ace and Crypto mostly, as Crypto flies above the streets, Ace is from the streets. He's a shelter pet, and so he knows a little bit more about being a regular dog. Their dynamic is figuring that out and butting heads in that way. So this will be an interesting, I guess, buddy movie, if you like.
And of course, it's The Rock and Kevin Hart, so that makes perfect sense.
Yes, and John's asking the question there: is Superman making a cameo appearance in Legends of the Super Pets? It's actually League of the Super Pets, DC League of Super Pets. And yes, we do know that he is making a cameo appearance, because there he is, and he will be voiced, get this, by John Krasinski.
The man I will constantly confuse with Zachary Levi, every single time. like I see the two of them and I have to double check myself. So nice, he's perfectly fine as the voice of Superman, especially the Superman that they're doing here. He has got a really classic Fleischer look, which I like. But John Krasinski is fine.
Yeah. Now, if you're not sure who John Krasinski is, there he is. That's his face right there. He is more familiar to fans as in the role of his character Jim Halpert on NBC's The Office, but he's also been in films such as The Quiet Place and The Quiet Place 2, and the current TV series Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. So he is a familiar face. You might not necessarily consider him as the voice of Superman, but who knows? You really, until you hear a person, you don't necessarily consider them as a possibility for the voice of Superman. Tim Daly, could have played the role back in the day in live action with his look, but his voice is just now so synonymous with Superman, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the right look, but he might have the right voice.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing to look at him from when he was on The Office and now in the Jack Ryan series. And with the beard, it's even worse with the, you put up that picture and I was sitting there literally for a minute going, are you sure that's not Zachary Levi? And then I'm like, no. It's not Zachary Levi. It's that could be a game show at this point where you just show different pictures of them and ask which one's which.
Interesting looking at that image again. You're mentioning Crypto had that gold, emblem and collar around for the cape. Superman seems to have a similar kind of golden cuffs at his wrists. And as you mentioned, there's a bit of a black background behind the S shield. There's a different style of S. We don't see much yellow in that at all. Even the border doesn't seem to be similar to anything we've seen before. So, interesting design, but I'm guessing Superman won't be a major part of the film, probably just in the intro, talking about who Crypto is and the fact that he is Superman's pet dog.
I'm going to call it now. There's going to be this voiceover from The Rock explaining who Crypto is. It's I'm Crypto, and I live with blah, 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 blah. And they're going to show scenes of them together and them flying together, and then it's going to get into the plot. So, which, maybe you need. I mean, Crypto did have an animated series for a very brief period of time.
Yep.
So, I wonder if that's going to be coming to HBO Max if it's not already there when the movie comes out.
Yeah, give it another run where he lived with a young boy called Kevin who adopted him.
Kevin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, if they've got a voice actor with John Krasinski playing Superman, then he'll probably be more than just a passing cameo, because you would just put anybody then as Superman if it was only a
Yeah.
a 2-line thing. So John Krasinski might have more than just a fleeting cameo at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, if what is his name? The guy, Jack Quaid, who's, if Jack Quaid could play Superman in the new animated series that's coming to HBO Max, there's nothing stopping it. It's all voice work. So,
yeah. So that's May 2022. Looking forward to this. I think it's going to be pretty big. I have a feeling like there'll be heaps of merchandise, and it'll be on par with in movies like, maybe not as big, but like Toy Story. They'll be marketing it pretty big along those lines. Like some of those animated films that we're seeing of late. That have been so like Up and Coco and all those types of films that do really well for families to watch.
yeah, I would imagine this is something like, Sing or, one of the other non-Disney, non-Pixar animated films, and it looks really slick. I'm impressed with the amount of effort that Warner Brothers seems to be putting into this thing. And it makes me hope that it actually really succeeds, because I don't want to put all that effort into it fail, and it's like, nah, we don't need to do anything like this ever again.
Of course, it could spawn sequels, and you've got big names attached to it, like Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart,
Hmm.
and the such. So it looks like they're pulling out all the stops for this, and it could be something big for them, another avenue of superhero films, but for the animated, family type stuff rather than the adult drama, Zack Snyder type stuff.
And you got to hand it to The Rock, man. He's trying to get the teenagers and the adults with Black Adam, but he wants the kiddies with the Crypto movie who can still watch it with their parents. So
Exactly.
he's like all over the place. That's a very shrewd businessman there.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. All right, so that's the upcoming DC League of Super Pets animated film coming May 2022. We look forward to that, and we'll keep you posted as things progress. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Henry Cavill has been doing a number of interviews, and this week a video with GQ Spain was released, where he went through pretty much his whole career, talking about some of the major characters that he's played in his career to date. Obviously, including Superman, the Witcher, playing what's his name, the Sherlock Holmes,
Hmm.
number of different characters, big characters, obviously wanting to play James Bond and being involved in a lot of different movies like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and the like. And here is Henry talking about and breaking down the journey of the role of Superman, which is really interesting because not only does he break it down really interestingly and discuss where where the character went, but also where he'd like it to go. Listen to this.
Hmm.
I was very keen on really fleshing out Superman's early stages of his journey first. We had Man of Steel, and then we went quite a bit darker with Batman v Superman. And if he were to succumb to the anti-life equation and become bad Superman, I really wanted to make sure that we saw the hero, Superman, and we saw the true symbol of hope, the beacon of light, before we went down the path of darkness and then redemption. And still something that I'm very keen to flesh out. Man of Steel. The wonderful thing about Man of Steel and what Snyder and Nolan and I wanted to do with Superman was create a Superman who was accessible in the sense that what would we do if we lived in a world where we had to keep every single aspect of ourselves hidden and we couldn't really truly interact with people, and how would that affect us? It's especially when you have that scene with Kevin Costner who's saying, look, don't reveal yourself. The world is not ready for you yet, and it'll only be a bad thing.
So that's just a bit of the interview with GQ Spain. Really great interview, actually. He goes on at length for about 17 and a half minutes, breaking down all his major roles in depth. And Superman is obviously the first one off on the video. It goes for a couple of minutes there. So if you're keen, check it out at our website. Henry Cavill breaking down all these major character roles, but specifically really interesting to hear his thoughts on the journey of Superman.
Yeah, I watched that today. GQ does these. They put out different videos, and it's, the GQ does one where they break down iconic roles. Don't be surprised if Vanity Fair doesn't release a video soon of him doing a timeline of his career. And both do kind of a similar thing, but they focus on different avenues or aspects of the career. I was kind of the two things that caught me, or that struck me as I was watching it, is one, I still completely disagree with the way they killed Jonathan Kent. And I will never not disagree with how they killed Jonathan Kent. But it was kind of funny to hear him say, we were gonna see Superman be created, and then he dies, and then he's reborn, and then he gets taken over by the anti-life equation and goes evil and is redeemed. But I wanted to play like that Superman, and as Superman, and hopefully I'll get to do that. And it's just like, it's a really nice way of saying I never got to play the Superman that I really wanted to play in any of the films that I was in.
Indeed, I got that sense myself as well. Like, it really was like, I hope to still be able to get to play the hopeful beacon of light Superman that is at the heart of what I think the character is about.
So, but no, it's an excellent. I love watching those things because it's really interesting hearing actors and directors and writers talk about like what goes into their thinking on it. So when that popped up today, I was like, oh yeah, gonna be watching that.
Yeah, because it really gives you a sense of their understanding of the character, or lack of understanding sometimes. When you hear certain directors or writers talking about Superman, you think to yourself, he doesn't really get it. He doesn't get who Superman is supposed to be. But when you hear Henry talk about Superman, you know that, like us, he's a fan of the character in all its forms, and is really, understands the heart of the character, and not just an alien with superpowers.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that was Henry, and like I said, it's a really good video to watch. Check it out, especially if you're a fan of Henry in all his roles, not just as Superman. Speaking of interviews, I conducted an interview this past week, with Ellen Brie, who was the American actress and stunt double for Margot Kidder in Superman the movie and Superman 2, especially the Richard Donner cut. The scene that was cut out of Superman 2 where Lois, thinks she knows that Clark and Superman are one of the same, and draws the spectacles and the hat on his newspaper article of Superman, and then ends up jumping out of the building and crashing onto a watermelon fruit stand. That was Ellen Brie doing that whole stunt, and Ellen and I had a good 45-minute chat about her involvement in those films, her acting and stunt career, and her involvement with Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve and all those kinds of things. So it's really a worthwhile interview if you'd like to check it out. Easy person to chat to, in her early 70s now, and I don't think she's acting anymore, but she has been involved in a lot of movies. Spider-Man, the TV series, in the 60s, or was it in the 80s? I think that would have been in the 80s, because it was after Superman, and many other shows that she was involved with over the years. So well worth checking out that interview if you haven't done so. It's up on our website. Here's just a little bit of that chat between myself and Ellen Brie.
Kojak series, that role on that episode of Kojak predates Superman. In fact, it's as a result of playing that role on Kojak that I ended up being the stunt double for Margot Kidder in the New York sequences of Superman 1 and 2.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Was
story there. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did the role come about for you? So was it somebody that was involved in the Kojak thing that was involved with Superman at the same time?
A little bit later than when I did the role on Kojak, but that's kind of a story too, if you want to hear that part
Yeah,
of it.
please. So there it is, Ellen and I having a chat about her role as the stunt double for Margot Kidder and how that all came about. And as I said, it goes for a good 45 minutes, so you should check it out on our website. What did you just?
I'm kind of glad we didn't do this here, because I would have completely hijacked the interview and started talking about St. Elsewhere. Because my mom watched St. Elsewhere, and I watched it a lot as a kid, and that's all I would have wanted to talk to her about.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's her most famous role. She was the nurse turned vigilante Shirley Daniels on St. Elsewhere, which is a hospital drama. She's had roles in films like Deep Impact, Mission Impossible 3. As I said, she was Spider-Man's love interest on the Spider-Man TV series. So, yeah, she's had an illustrious career, but you may not know that she started as well, first on Kojak, but then that led into her role as the stunt double for Margot Kidder in the first 2 Superman films, in the New York sequences.
Which is oddly enough her only credit on IMDb as a stunt person. So
we discussed that in an interview. She obviously went on to be more of an actor in her career, but did a lot of her own stunts in those roles because of her earlier work and training on both Kojak and Superman films. So really worthwhile checking out that interview if you'd like to check that out on our website and our YouTube channel.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the television side of things. Our friends in the UK are finally getting Superman and Lois after we've all seen the first season now. Come and go. For the UK are finally getting Superman and Lois season 1. It will premiere on Saturday, December 4th on BBC One. We're not sure yet of the exact time slot, but it'll be in the early evening, and it'll be available also on iPlayer the same day as its TV release.
Apparently, it going to BBC One is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
From what a buddy of mine was telling me. So that's
good.
They obviously have a lot of faith in it if they're going to be putting it on BBC One.
I'm just surprised that it took them so long to gain whatever it might be.
It's so weird. These international rights we're a global economy now, and especially with our entertainment. You know, there is no, like, I know that, for example, I don't know if this was you or somebody else telling me that people would send them tapes of shows, like American shows, like to either the UK or to Australia. Somebody was, one of my friends was telling me about that, where they would, and that was the only way they could watch it. And if it would come, because especially in the UK, how television is so different from the United States, the airing times would be weird, and it's just, we're not there anymore. With the internet, everybody knows everything that's going on and that shows exist, and to make people wait till like a month before the second season is coming on is just like so weird. And the UK didn't get Batwoman for a really long time, which made Crisis really weird for them.
And it's strange because, you know, obviously there's the ways of pirating if you really wanted to download it through, you know, streams and what have you. But the Blu-ray is available for the complete first season in the US. So, you know, if you've got a multi-region Blu-ray player, you could have legitimately purchased it on Amazon or anywhere online and then received the Blu-ray and watched the complete first season before it's even premiered there on TV. So at least here in Australia, we get it like a couple of hours later because of the time differences. It's actually the next day, but it isn't that much time that has lapsed between your Tuesday night and our Wednesday night because of the time difference. So I'm just surprised that the UK made their fans wait so long.
Yeah, that's very, very strange.
I didn't get it.
John is saying he can't hear anything. I'm not sure. People seem to still, other than John, I can't. If you let us know if you are unable to hear us, but it seems that everybody else is able to still hear us. So I'm not sure what happened with John's audio feed there, but if you can't hear us, please, and if we're just moving mouths, then let us know. But we seem to be continuing on okay at this point in time. So there's the television side of Superman and Lois premiering finally in the UK. But interestingly, and this one caught a lot of people's attention, Brandon Routh, who is now currently involved in the crossover that's currently taking place on The Flash, the Armageddon 5-part crossover. He's playing the Atom on that, Ray Palmer, but he has been pretty vocal talking to comicbook.com about his interest in playing the role of Superman again. Just quickly, a question there by John, Super Chat, asking when will the UK get Superman and Lois Season 2? Maybe 2027 at this rate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, John, I can't answer that. No, I don't know. They could now follow on directly after Season 1 concludes. But getting back to Brandon Routh, he's been saying that he would absolutely love to get back and reprising the role of Superman. He said, given if the story is the right story and Superman portrayed in the way that I see Superman, I was absolutely always interested in doing that. I've made my own investigations about the possibility of something like that. Right now, the truth is that we're flush with Superman stuff with the success of Superman and Lois, and Tyler's doing an awesome job on that. And then there's a couple of scripts and stuff going around for features, I think, in different iterations at Warner Brothers. We've got the Flash movie with a multiverse going on, so there's always the possibility of having multiple Supermen show up on various size screens.
Yeah, I'm kind of digging that he kind of looked into it on his own. That's a lot of initiative for doing that dark, the dark Kingdom Come picture. I don't know why that amused me, but it's always weird. We talked about this last week. It's just like people asking actors if they want to reprise a role, and it's just like ask person in a profession if they want to get paid to do what they're supposed to do. But I think in Brandon's case, if it happens, it'll be great. If it doesn't happen, I think we got the closure on him as Superman that we really wanted in the Crisis crossover. I mean, I'd always like to see more, but it was really good.
Mind the Gap saying he doesn't think it was cool for Brandon to talk like that because Superman is someone else's role now. To be fair, he's being asked about it, and he has played Superman recently in that Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. So people are asking him about the Kingdom Come Superman and whether or not he would like to reprise that role and continue on the story of that character, which he now owns, if you like. He's part of that universe. So it's not about him returning in Superman Returns. They're asking him about returning in that Crisis on Infinite Earths role of being the Kingdom Come style Superman, or whether or not, now with a multiverse of different characters, there's no reason we can't have Tyler Hoechlin on the TV and Michael B. Jordan or whoever else. And then we've got My Adventures with Superman, the animated series, and we've got the Crypto animated movie with a Superman in there. There is room for different iterations of Superman based on different types of multiversal characters.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where we had Christian Bale as Batman on the big screen, Diedrich Bader as Batman in Brave and the Bold, and we had the various animated films. So if the market will bear it, then the companies will do it. I don't...
Spider-Man at the moment.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think Warner Brothers has the faith in Superman that they do in Batman. So that's a consideration. But it's also always a possible. It's not impossible. It's probably improbable, but it's not impossible.
Indeed. So yeah, let's see what happens there. There's always, as you said, the possibility, but it's unlikely. But we can still see and enjoy Brandon in his role as Ray Palmer, currently taking place on the Armageddon crossover in Season 8 of The Flash. All right, we're at the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to take a quick break, play some messages, and then we'll come back on the flip side, to talk, to do our This Week in History, to do our fan favorite questions segment, talk about comic books, and so much more. We'll be back right after this.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program, just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Delicious.
And dangerous. First, never touch any appliance without a parent's supervision, and always be careful with kitchen appliances. Keep their cords out of your way and your fingers out of their way. Also, always turn pot handles in, away from the edge of the stove.
So nobody bumps into them and gets hurt.
Now you're cooking.
Now you're cooking with Superman. All right. Let's move into the fan favorite segment of our show. All right, Michael, what was our fan favorite question from last week?
Who is your favorite Jimmy Olsen and why? Stephen Marshall wrote in saying, my favorite Jimmy Olsen is Sam Huntington. While Superman Returns isn't the best Superman movie, they totally nailed Jimmy's casting. For me, him only getting one film is as much of a missed opportunity as Routh only getting one film. I actually have been a fan of all the live-action Jimmys, but for me, he was the one that was most like the comics.
Very cool. Thanks, Stephen. Next up, we have Jack Rocha, who says, there is no other answer than Jack Larson. His stamp on the character of Jimmy Olsen cannot be understated. Yeah, he was Jimmy for so many people growing up of the generation.
Yeah, this is the reason why we had a Jimmy Olsen comic. I mean,
yeah.
John Patrick Van Pelt wrote in saying my favorite three versions of Jimmy Olsen are David Kaufman, who played him in Superman the Animated Series, Aaron Ashmore in Smallville, and Mark McClure in Superman the Movie.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, John. And that's Aaron Ashmore on your screen right now. Next up, we have Ryan Ignatius Pratt, who wrote, my favorite live-action Jimmy Olsen would be that played by Justin Whalen. I think I connected with his version of the character back then since it mirrored my own personality a bit. Justin's Jimmy also reminded me of the third Robin, Tim Drake, my second favourite character behind Superman, as written by Chuck Dixon, especially given the two characters' computer skills and personality traits. Interesting.
You know, we got a really good variety of answers. I was expecting nothing but Jack Larson.
No double ups.
Who I count as my favorite Jimmy. Though I have kind of a soft spot for Michael Landis from the first season of Lois and Clark. I thought he was really good in the role, and it's nothing against Justin Whalen, but man, that character was mainly there just to convey information. It's just like he would just show up, tell Clark and Lois what they needed to know, and then move on. I mean, there was a couple of episodes where he had a little bit more of a role. But yeah, he just seemed to be more of the of the what is that called? I've lost it.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, he's just there to continue on the story and feed some information to the main characters. Interesting that he got that Landy's Jimmy got recast because they really between him and Clark, or him and Dean Cain, there was a lot of similarities in their look. They didn't really cast anybody who looked completely different or who looked like a Jimmy Olsen in that way.
Yeah, and Waylon looked a little younger, I would say.
Yeah.
And he had a really good rapport with Lane Smith as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that fun type. Yeah. For me, Jack Larson is obviously definitely up there, and I've met Jack and spent an evening and just had dinner and had a really good chat with him back when he was filming Superman Returns here in Australia. But I also have a soft spot for Mark McClure in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. He's just his gosh darn Jimmy was very much in sync with the comic book style of the way Jimmy spoke.
Yeah, only guy that played him in all 5 of that series of films. So, who else was in Supergirl? Well, maybe no one else wanted to be in Supergirl, but that seems like a mean thing to say.
All right. So what's our new not big question, fan favorite question for this week?
Who is your favorite Bizarro and why?
Yeah, what's your favorite version of Bizarro? Yeah. Send us your, could be from the comic books, could be from the animated, series, cartoons, whatever it might be. Even Superboy is a popular version of Bizarro there. So let us know what your favorite version of Bizarro is and why. We will endeavor to read out those responses. And to get involved, all you have to do is send an email to the email address scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. John is asking, what is next week's question? There it is, John. What is your favorite version of Bizarro? Get involved in the fan favorite segment of our show, info@supermanhomepage.com, and we will read out the responses and show your fan favorite versions of Bizarro when we return to this segment next week. All right, let's move into This Week in History.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Alrighty, skipping ahead to 1961 for the first book, we have Superboy number 94, which had 2 stories in it. The Superboy Revenge Squad and the one from the cover, or maybe not, I don't know. The Boy of Steel Super Initiation, but it's got a great cover by Kurt Swan and Stan Kay of Clark watching Pete Ross change into Superman. I like how that mask is just going to perfectly fit on his face. Because only in comic books. Also, in 1961, we have Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 58, which has Jimmy the Soda Jerk, the Boy Witch Doctor, and Jimmy Olsen's Super Birthday. That did not age well in terms of a cover. Ooh, I don't know, Jimmy. You need to make some apologies for that. Jumping ahead to 1971, we have Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 118, which has a story on it called Edge of Darkness. And I like how Lois is holding a headline that says Madman at Large, while hands come in from the other side of the cover. And there's a shadow. God, that's creepy. There's a Rose and Thorn story called Hand of Death and a Dr. Pat story called Dr. Pat's First Love. Sure, that's why everyone bought that issue.
I'm sure.
Jumping ahead to I'm snarky tonight for absolutely no reason. Jumping ahead to 1981, we have Action Comics number 528, which has a Superman Brainiac team up and an Aquaman backup. Also in 1981, we have the New Adventures of Superboy number 64, where you got a bunch of people machine gunning Clark Kent as he's biking along, and you see the Superboy suit underneath. There is also a story, backup story, Superboy meets Superboy, almost. And World's Finest Comics came out in 1981, number 276, which has Superman and Batman fighting Dr. Double X. There's also a Green Arrow story, Zatanna, Hawkman, and Captain Marvel. Jumping ahead to 1991, we have a brilliant Jerry Ordway cover on Adventures of Superman number 486. This was just after the Blackout storyline, so we're kind of in that intermediary period between big stories. We're about to get into Panic in the Sky, if my memory serves. Jumping ahead to 2001, Superboy number 94. Jimmy Palmiotti and Dan DiDio take over as writers with John McCrea as artists.
It's interesting that we have two Superboy 94 this week, because the original series Superboy 94 came out this week back in, what was it, 1951?
61. Yeah, no, that you are 50 years apart in the same issue number. That's kind of cool. This is like almost the end of the road for this series.
Yeah.
In 6 issues, it's gone. John McCrea is a great artist. He is not what I think of when I think of Superboy. We have Supergirl number 64 with Supergirl and Lagoon Boy, with some really great Leonard Kirk cover. And also Superman, the Man of Steel, number 120. This is the opposite end of the cover from a week or two back. Really good Mike Wieringo cover of Superman coming out of the newfangled phone booth. And finally, comic book-wise, we have Superman number 3 from 2012. I reread this recently. I still have absolutely no memory of what happened in it. Just not in my head for some reason.
Bit of a butt shot there for Superman.
Yeah, George Perez, he had both a male and female gaze. It's kind of an interesting trick he could pull off. In the real world, on November 23rd, 1951, Superman and the Mole Men premiered into theaters, and this is basically the pilot, for lack of a better term, for the Adventures of Superman television series. I really enjoy this film.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. On November 25th, Noelle Neal, who played Lois Lane in both the movie serial and the Adventures of Superman television series, seasons 2 through 6, was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1920. And sadly, on November 27th, 2008, Patricia Morand, who played Lois Lane in Broadway, died of, I believe it was brain cancer, if I did not write that down, but that's what I remember reading.
Yes, I remember that too.
And that is this week in history.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Michael. Interesting week. And we move now on to some local news as far as the Superman homepage itself is concerned, with our annual Shield Awards now underway. It's the 21st annual Shield Awards. We have been, doing it for 21 years. And this year we have, I think it's 19 categories involving the world of Superman. Things like Best Comic Book Writer, Best Comic Book Artist, Best Regular Superman Title, Best Comic Book Cover. We have a whole range of categories for Superman and Lois, as well as the final season of Supergirl. 19 categories in total, and by entering into the Shield Awards and voting for the different categories, you go into the for the chance to win these prizes. There's the DC Superman to the Rescue Silk Touch Sherpa Throw, and a Superman Adult Silk Touch Comfy Throw Blanket, thanks to fun.com. So the voting booth is open now and will close at midnight on December 19th, 2021. So make sure you get involved in the Shield Awards. You can't miss it when you head to supermanhomepage.com. There's a big revolving banner at the top of the screen there. Click on that and you'll be into the Shield Awards, where, as I said, you'll be able to go into the draw for those great prizes.
21 years. Wow. You can legally drink now in the United States.
Yeah, so it's always interesting to see what fans vote for. So please get involved in the Shield Awards. Your chance to vote on the best of what took place in 2021 for Superman. All right, moving on the comic book side of things, we had Tom Taylor talking to DC Comics Beyond the Panels video segment that they do, where he discusses the ins and outs of John Kent blazing his own trail as the latest Man of Steel. Here is a little bit of that video with Tom Taylor discussing the Superman Son of Kal-El comic book.
Look, this book is an all-new Superman. This is not something that happens every day. This is a Superman #1. This is a new character stepping into the role of Superman in a way that hasn't been done before, stepping in to do big things. He gets arrested for standing up at a rally for refugees. He fights things in a way that isn't always with his fists. He doesn't see borders as the end of, or the reason to stop doing good.
So there's just a bit of the video that you might want to check out with Tom Taylor going behind the panels on Superman Son of Kal-El. It's a 5-minute video where he talks about bringing in a new Superman to the world of comic books and more. Always interesting to hear from the writers themselves.
He always wears that T-shirt and that hat. Everything I've seen him in like the past couple of months, it's kind of fascinating.
For years he's been wearing, that's his style, that hat. Back before he became really famous and really big, I've caught up with him and interviewed him at a number of conventions here in Australia, where he was writing Injustice and things like that, and Deceased. And we sat and chat at the booth that he was at, and he wasn't always in the main section of the conventions back in the day. He would be off on the artist alley kind of areas where he wasn't really that big a deal, but he was always up for a chat and a video interview. And he's always worn that style of hat. Always. So he
needs to come on this show.
Yeah, well, I've reached out to DC now that he's a big business that we want to interview him, but there's always a bit of a waiting line and bigger fish in the sea.
Yep.
Yeah. But speaking of Superman Son of Kal-El, the 5th issue, the big one, the one that made all the splashing headlines, has gone back for a second printing, and it's Tom Taylor in an interview with DC in a press conference said that it's been incredible to see all the positive fan reactions, and I want to thank everyone who reached out to DC and our creative team to show their support. He obviously didn't follow some of the Facebook things that we've been posting because obviously they look at the positive side of things, and it has been a positive move for them to get a second printing and for all the buzz that the comic book received. But obviously there's been a lot of negative bigotry type of conversation also going on, which is, I guess, the internet.
Yeah, and it's going back to a second printing, which means it must have sold well.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it didn't lose money. Interesting. That's fascinating. I'm sure there will be waves of apologies across Twitter and Facebook over the next couple of weeks.
And obviously it will be coming out with a special version of a variant cover originally created by Travis Moore, which will feature the Pride logo there for the reprinting of issue number 5. Just quickly, Justin in the comments is asking about Superman's look and diminishing powers. We're talking about Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman. Justin, we did a whole article and a video explaining the whole thing going on with Superman and his powers and his look, and the how it might mesh from what's happening in Action Comics and Superman Son of Kal-El, and then what's been going on in Superman and the Authority, those specials and those miniseries. So make sure you check out the article and the video with the explanation about how that has all taken place. We spoke about it last week, so and I know Justin missed our show last week, but you can check out the article and video explaining that whole issue about Superman's powers and look and his diminishing invulnerability, so to speak. So yeah, that's something we've already covered. All right, DC also released their February 2022 solicitations this past week, and there were some interesting things to look at. Action Comics 1040 is one in particular, with an interesting cover there. Superman has become a force to be reckoned with inside Warworld's arena, and Mongol questions his decision to keep his enemies alive. As Superman's new Phalosian ally, Krill Ux, teaches him new ways to fight without powers, he starts to win Warzoons over to his cause, but someone within his inner circle finds their allegiances tested. Meanwhile, the elusive Midnighter uses his talents to find the missing members of the Authority, and that's obviously the variant cover there, because it has nothing to do with the story that I just read about.
It's a fun cover, though. I do like that variant.
Yeah, I think that is by Julian Totino Tedesco, that variant cover. Also of note is Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 8. Henry Bendix's plans for ultimate control threaten every superhero on Earth, and in trying to stand against the dictator of Gomorrah, Superman makes himself a target of business and world leaders. He's seen by too many as a force that must be stopped. How much can even a man of steel stand against before he bends? And obviously that's, I'm guessing, maybe a variant cover there by Inyuk Lee. If not, that's maybe Travis Moore's cover. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was a lot for the newer books. I was a little disappointed in the lack of trade paperbacks, because all you had was the Multiversity Absolute, which, shocking, a Grant Morrison Absolute. Still no Man of Steel by John Byrne Absolute. I'm just going to keep complaining about that for the rest of my life. And we got the Challenge of the Super Sons trade paperback or collection coming out. But yeah, the more I kind of look at that, speaking of Tom Taylor, I guess I could use as a really terrible segue that Dark Knights of Steel. Man, I'm reading the story idea behind that, and then it's a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And that's nothing against Tom Taylor, but that's a really cool idea, with all of them coming to Earth, not just Kal-El, and what that does to this medieval world. So maybe checking that out sooner than I think I was going to.
Okay, cool. And of interest, what made a lot of news articles this week was also the fact that Nightwing and John, Superman, are teaming up in the Nightwing book coming out in February. That made a bit of a splash across social media and the like. So that's an interesting one you also might want to check out come February 2022.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Well, so that's the comic books coming out in February, but a little bit closer to home this week. Here are the comic books that we can look forward to as Superman fans for the week November 23rd. We have DC vs. Vampires number 2, which is available in this variant cover right there. We also have the one that most people will be wanting to check out, Superman 78 number 4, right there, and that is available in this variant cover as well. And Superman Son of Kal-El, the first 4 issues have gone back. This one is number 1, has gone back for a 3rd printing. Issue number 2 has gone back for a 2nd printing. Issue number 3 has also gone back for a 2nd printing. And issue number 4 also has a 2nd printing coming out this week as well. So obviously the book is selling out really well.
But I'm puzzled by this.
Of course, what was the saying? Go woke, go broke?
Yeah, and 3rd printing on number 1 with 2nd printings of everything else. One, very, very smart, DC. Because it's going to be a while until the collected edition comes out. So having these 2nd and 3rd printings of these books so that people can kind of catch up on it, really, really smart. I'm really glad that the book is doing, even though I'm not reading it, I am really excited that the book is doing as well as it is.
Indeed. All right. Another interesting news item that caught people's attention this week, which was of bit of interest amongst our group of friends, is the Multiverses video game that was announced this past week. It's almost like is it like a Smash Brothers? Is that the game that everyone was kind of referencing when this was announced? This is,
I think so.
Yeah, an all-new free-to-play platform fighter video game. Introduces a team-based 2 versus 2 format combined with an ever-expanding cast of iconic characters and legendary universes. It'll be available for PS5, PS4, Xbox, Xbox One, PC, with full cross-play support. Pre-registration for upcoming play sets is available at multiverses.com. Yes, you're not you're not seeing cross-eyed. There is Superman there is Tom and Jerry, there is Steven Universe, there is Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo, Bugs Bunny, Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, Jake the Dog and Finn the Human from Adventure Time. All these many more characters will be included in what is looking like a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, just throwing all those characters together in what looks to be like a big fighting game is kind of fascinating. I really like that you have a Game of Thrones character versus a Steven Universe character versus like Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. It's just so great.
George Newbern is voicing the role of Superman in this video game.
Always a welcome thing. I probably won't be playing it, but that looks like a really fun game.
Yeah, here's a bit of a video showing you a bit of the gameplay and what it's all about.
Hi, I'm Tony, the game director and co-founder here at Player First Games. We're here today to give you a first look at our new game, Multiverses. About 2 years ago, we had a question. Can we create a platform fighter that embodies everything we love about the genre, removes the pain points, and brings in some new ideas? Multiverses emphasizes teamwork and social play with an ever-expanding, diverse cast of characters that you know and love. This is our take.
So there you go. You can watch the full video at our website, but Multiverses, I believe, is coming out in early 2022. So free to play. Obviously, there'll be in-game purchases to level up and get new characters and whatever. But yeah, I think it looks like a fun game.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Superman Homepage Live. Thanks to all those in the comments and who participated watching the show live. Thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And thank you to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And remember, if you've tuned in late, missed some of the show, you'll be able to watch this entire episode in full at supermanhomepage.com and also on our YouTube channel. But Michael and I will be back next week on Monday, November 29th for another edition of Superman Homepage Live at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure you tune in then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.